Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cyber Voices, the official podcast of the Australian Information Security Association, otherwise known as ASA. I'm your host, as always, David Willett, and it is my pleasure to have you with us as we explore the diverse voices of the Australian cyber industry. This special edition of Cyber Voices was recorded at CyberCon 2024 and is part of our series from the conference highlighting some of the thought leaders that came together to make CyberCon so special. All right, welcome back once again to Cyber Voices, coming to you from day 2 of CyberCon 2024. I'm in a room full of award winners today. I've got my co-host, Emily Wingard from South Australia with me. How are you, Emily?
I'm going well. Great to be here.
And another award winner, we've got Ben Doyle from Talis. How are you going?
Fantastic, thank you.
And I'm sure you've won awards too, Grant, from the Cyber Resilience Group.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've never won anything, so I'm the odd one out.
It's coming, surely coming.
It is. I was hoping last night at the awards dinner, maybe someone had nominated me and not told me. I was like, oh, I reckon I could be in for this, but no, it didn't happen.
Best podcaster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I deserve my own category, Ben. And that's exactly.
And Ben, how does it feel to be an award winner?
Oh, don't ask me that. How does it feel for you?
Exciting. I think, yeah.
I think it is true. I mean, to be excited. I mean, especially coming from ASA because it's voted by the members. So it's not a judging panel based on what you submitted. It's, it's people from the community actually saying, yes, we believe in this person. It's that extra bit of special.
It means a lot more. Yeah, I agree. Well done. Congratulations.
Very well deserved.
Yeah, and we had a record number of voters this year as well too. So you did pretty well in that regard.
At least 2 people voted.
And the bots.
And the bots.
And the bots, yeah. So CyberCon 2024, you're both veterans of CyberCon. We've had a lot of first timers in here, which has been really cool. But how's 2024 shaping up for you?
Good. It's been busy. I was actually just feeling it. I mean, day 2, and it's actually already exhausting, which is unusual. So, but yeah, it's been really good.
It's pretty big. If you had a chance to get around and see many of the talks, I know you're usually quite busy, Ben. You're quite the socialite.
It tends to be hallway con more than the actual talk, so it's rare I get into them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I spent most of my time so far just talking, networking, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're on like one end of the expo floor here in the booth, right? If I go out and I try to say walk to the Talis booth, which is on the other side, I might get there by 5. It's currently 3.
Correct.
Popular, very popular.
What can I say?
He's going to be the best.
It's surprising I haven't won an award.
Next year.
Yeah. But it's been a bit of an extra long CyberCon for you because you sort of started on Monday, right? So you've been helping out with the CISO Bootcamp.
Correct.
Here's a question. Do you say CISO or CISO?
CISO.
You say
I tend to do CISO, yeah.
CISO.
It's
I
think about it. I was sat next to someone yesterday who kept saying CISO, and I feel it's American.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Definitely CISO.
So, and this has been running for a couple of years now, the bootcamp?
Yeah, so 2 years. So it's in a partnership between ASA and RSA Conference.
Mm-hmm.
So RSA Conference has been doing it since 2019.
Wow.
Mainly in the US. So they run a couple in the US. Last year was the first time they went out. So Melbourne was the first time outside of America. They also did London. So basically it's only Melbourne and London. They also do it. But it's also built from an RSA point of view out of another program that's been running now 24 years. Before the main RSA conference, it's called ESAF, which is, I think it's the Executive Security Access Forum, which is a really, really weird title, which probably meant a lot 24 years back.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know it as ESAF, which is the global CISOs from the Global 1000s only and about 100 people. And it's a Chatham House rules sort of conversation, which is very unique to get into.
Mm-hmm.
There's sort of a recognition out of that group saying, well, how do we bring the new people up? How do we train CISOs, stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what RSA started to do. And obviously, partnership with ASA, they wanted to do something in Australia. So it made sense to do it as part of CyberCon also.
Love that. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about what it includes?
So, I mean, when it was last year, because I've done quite a bit with RSA also, and obviously I've done a bit with that ASA, I sort of grabbed hold of it and said, this is my program.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much on, when I thought about it, is if you think about it's those CISOs or the new CISOs that are only just coming into the field or maybe come in the next 12 to 18 months, what do they really need to know about? And the way I term it is, what nuggets of information I want to put in their back of their brain over the day that when they hit a certain problem in the next 2 or 3 years, they at least know what direction to run.
Mm-hmm.
I can't teach them everything in one day. But if I can drop nuggets, that's going to help them in 2 or 3 years, which means instead of like a deer in a headlight sort of thing, they at least have something. Hang on, I remember something like that. I need to run in this direction. I think that's actually a fantastic thing.
I think the other thing it creates is a community. One of the things that we were talking about on Monday was that these are the future CISOs. These are the people that will be the Ben Doyles of the world in 20 to 25 years' time.
It's really the Ben Doyle Bootcamp, isn't it?
I was just the side. And, the networking that occurs and the relationships that are formed sort of thing. So I presented last year and still connected with all of the people there. And this year, I think it's going to be just as strong. Is the connections they build to move forward with and to lean on when toughest times get tough.
That is so amazing. Those connections are so important. You mentioned around the nuggets that they need to know. Can you share with us some of those nuggets, some of the things that they'll experience over the next year or so?
One of the big ones I drove last year, and again this year was the common theme, I've already touched on it, is when you look at a CISO career, what's going to be the thing that saves them throughout their career? It's going to be their network. I start each morning, I'd say look around the room, get to know everyone, because as you go through the next 20 years, these are going to be your peers. They're the ones you're going to lean on. They're the ones you're going to want to know an opinion from. They're going to be the ones that do group therapy with you, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the one, it's only really the one goal I want out of it. If they build a strong network, then that's a success for the day.
Amazing.
And, when we looked at it, you do the first break. And if you think about it, we're a bunch of introverts generally, and everyone will hide in a corner on their phones, pretending to check email because they don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
There was no one there doing that. Everyone was talking. Each break, they got up and changed table just to, be introduced to someone else. So it's like, that's a win for me.
Well, and what's the turnout been like? And I'm wondering if it has it grown over the years, because I'm seeing a lot of the CISO bootcamps stickers on everyone's lanyards this year.
Started with like 135 applicants, I think we were, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we whittled it down to about 80, and then it went up again. So there was probably 80 or 90 people in the room, sort of thing, aspiring or baby CISOs.
Baby CISOs, yeah. Which is about the same as last year. And it's generally, we'll try keep a cap about 100, because you have that thing also where, again, it's Chatham House rules, and we do put certain speakers in there that wouldn't normally speak anywhere else. But it's also, if it gets too big, how do you build that trust network? Because then it's grown too big.
Yeah.
So it's very much, we have to be careful about, unfortunately, who we let in the room.
Yeah.
Do they have enough experience to realize what Chatham House rules is?
Of course, yeah.
And they're not going to say, hey, I knew that, Defence CISO, who we had as a keynote, said this. Rather than just taking the lessons, they actually got someone so experienced talking to that sort of group.
I think they're quite respectful of that as well. When there was a slide that was interesting or something, they'd go and ask the speaker afterwards, can I have a copy of that sort of thing, as opposed to just taking photos sort of thing. So,
And what speakers did you have?
So, it was listed up there, so it was fine. So we had this year, keynote was Jonathan Dean, Defence CISO. So I did actually try have him last year, but unfortunately he got tapped on the shoulder because he had some American visitors.
Fair enough.
But I use that as a great example of the network, because that happened a week before the bootcamp. And that night we actually had the Australian Women's and Security Network, and I literally walked up to Darren Kane and Shirin from KPMG and said, are you free next Wednesday, do a panel? And so I ended up with a panel of 4 or 5 senior CISOs to lead the actual bootcamp just within a week, that said, yes, I'll come and serve, that actually helps draw that. But luckily I booked in Jonathan very, very early, and he wanted to do it. And so he had it cleared from his PR and stuff like that, and blocked out to turn up and actually talk about his experience, which is very unique, because the reason I wanted him to do it is he started off, which many people won't realize, running the Defence SOC. So if you think about a highly operational technical role in Australia, which is extremely important, it's going to be, the manager of the Defence SOC. And then he moved to be the Defence CISO. Can you think of a more stakeholder engaged and important regulatory CISO than anyone else? And it's like, okay, how did you do that mental switch? And that's why I wanted him there to actually do that. The second one, we had a panel of alumni.
That was good as well. What did you learn last year? How did you apply it type of thing?
What a good idea.
Fabulous.
And that's also setting the scene because then, okay, you had this great panel, but then you had the panel come and say, well, this is why it was important to me from last year, why I wanted to turn up, what I learned and what I've done in the last 12 months. The other thing is you showed the tight connection between them all on stage. So they were just having fun on stage.
Yeah,
They
it
were all
was.
just having
A bit ice cream.
talking about ice cream, yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen anyone since the program began who's actually managed to get closer to that career goal, or who's come back and told you a real success story they've had as a security leader as a result of the program?
Yeah, Tara Darnacode.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know Tara very well.
Yeah. I know you do, actually.
I can't speak highly enough.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't planned, but we had enough room that we had a number of actually people from last year came back this year also.
Yeah.
They wanted to come back. We said no, we probably couldn't accept them. But in the end, we had enough room. So we had people now gone twice, which is great. Yeah.
And I guess it's not just exclusively about becoming a CISO, right? We call it a CISO bootcamp, but it sounds like it's, you mentioned Tara, right? And I know Tara definitely has the potential to get there and she'd love to be doing that role. Hey, David from the editing room here. Just a quick note, listeners, that since recording this episode, the individual that we were just referring to has actually obtained their first ever CISO role. So a big congratulations to them and congratulations to Ben and Grant for the success of the program. All right, on with the show. Security leadership, and there's all kinds of very specific skills you need to be a leader in a number of different domains and disciplines, right?
Yeah, correct. Nothing about on Monday was about technology.
Yeah, it was a very human thread through the whole thing.
So important. Yeah,
resilience is just key.
Yeah, resilience, communication, personal branding. So how to deal with incident response, which is more about that was one of the key takeaways I actually had, which I didn't expect, which is the difference between a value-led response versus a compliance-led response, which I had never thought about before.
I used it with a client today.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So even there we go. The MCs even learn.
Yeah.
So during boot camp still. So.
And that's a really important thing to be able to draw people who are coming from that technical background. It can be a hard pivot for them to make. So to get to absorb themselves in this experience must be really quite, I guess, mind-changing for them.
Yeah.
I've had a few people come up to me today, just like, it was amazing. I learned things that I never anticipated being as a part of being a CISO sort of things. If we can lay the groundwork or give them the right leads to go in the right direction, it's a great outcome.
Geez, I wish I'd had a CISO boot camp. I kind of got thrown into the role.
We're going next year.
I know, I kind of got thrown into the role. This would have been great.
And so what about next year? Is there a plan already to put it in place and run it again?
Well, the plan I had, and I knew that coming out of last year, is I didn't want this to become, the boot camp for Ben Doyle, who's only my thoughts, because everyone has different thoughts. Everyone wants to give back. I put a co-chair in this year so he could understand the process of what we built, so that he can take it on next year and set his own agenda, what he thinks is important to teach. And the expectation, obviously, then I'd have on Grant, hopefully, and I guess it's his choice and he owns the program, is to bring on another co-chair the year after and then hand the reins over. And that way it's always growing and evolving and there's always value coming in.
And I think there's a connection between the years as well. So this year's, last year's cohort, so involved in this year. I'm sure this year's cohort will be so involved next year as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, you get to decide that.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, please be involved.
Well, who knows? Perhaps one of your CISO Bootcamp attendees winds up running CISO Bootcamp one day. That'd be pretty amazing, right?
That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
I guess that kind of brings me to one of my final questions for you, Ben, is, you are looking for it to have legs and go on and do great things after you kind of step back from it. Let's say 5 years' time, bit cliche, I know, but you come back in and check on the CISO Bootcamp. Where would you like to see it be at that point?
I guess I would say where it is today. I think it's the feedback we're getting for the last two cohorts. I think it's pretty hard to improve on what we're doing.
I'm taking over from the Ben Doyle.
Yeah, not just any Ben Doyle, but the Ben Doyle.
So, where we go next year, I'm going to talk to who attended this year. We've already had a chat. We think maybe we should include some finance management in it, sort of thing. A lot of CISOs come up a technical path. I came up a technical path, and then suddenly you're running a budget for multi-million dollars, sort of thing. That's not somewhere you should start managing money. So that's probably one of the areas we'll look at as well.
I think also in 5 years, if we can see that we have multiple really tight trust groups of now probably senior CISOs that have actually been born out of this program, and that's success.
That would be incredible, yeah.
And especially the giving back, then also you see them actively giving back to the community themselves at that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think one of the bigger things for me is just saying congratulations. You know, you've achieved so much over the last couple of years and seems like it's really grown some legs and you should be really proud of it.
Thanks. I've been having fun. That's all it is. I've been having fun.
Yeah. Is it going to be hard to step back, or are you excited to see what Grant does?
I'm sure I'll find another area to annoy someone with opinions.
Well, you're always around. You're such a staple in the ASA and the cyber community. So I'm sure whatever you've got planned next will be incredible. And Grant, I'm really excited to see how things go under your leadership.
Yeah, no pressure. I'm looking forward to it, and I've got a few ideas already to change some things around. But I think it's just a bit about a bit more inclusion, a bit more diversity, and instead of having two white guys on the stage, let's broaden it out to represent the industry a bit better.
100%. Love that. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations again. I do echo that, and thank you so much for lending us your voices today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, hello there, fellow podcasters. Are you looking to level up your podcast game? Well, let me tell you about This Is a Studio. This Is a Studio is where we record cyber voices each and every single week. They're located at 693 High Street in Pran and Ikla Hawthorne East. They're Melbourne's go-to video podcast studio. Whether you're starting a podcast or taking your podcast to the next level, they've got everything you need: quality equipment, a professional setup, and a team that lives and breathes podcasts. And if you're like us and thinking about going live, these are the folks behind the scenes at events like the AFL Grand Final, Mckechnie Melbourne 2024, and of course here at CyberCon 2024 as well. Seriously, these guys really know their stuff. So, if you're ready to make your podcast shine, check them out at thisisastudio.com.au. This is a studio where Melbourne's best podcasts come to life. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cyber Voices. Our music is by Sanar Garut, our show artwork is by Studio Quarantine, and we record our show at This Is a Studio in Pran, Melbourne, part of Popplant Productions. Please make sure you follow the show on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others find the show. Also, please follow the association on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want to add your voice to our ever-growing chorus of diverse cyber voices, have questions, feedback, or would like to be a sponsor, you can do so by emailing us at cybervoices@asa.org.au. That's cybervoices@aisa.org.au. Are you an ASA member? If not, you should consider joining our network of over 12,000 members across Australia. An ASA membership can open doors, build professional networks, create lifetime friendships, and offer exclusive training, events, and other perks. Become a member today by heading to our website at asa.org.au. That is all for today. I hope you will join us again next time on Cyber Voices.